But like, as far as real girlfriends, was that all before the catfish?
For real in-person girlfriend?
Like, when was your last real girlfriend? Because
My
obviously,
last,
all those women were just playing a game, so they weren't really your girlfriend. So, like, when was your last girlfriend?
my last real girlfriend was before I went to Nashville.
Oh,
Our last real in-person girlfriend was before I went to Nashville.
oh, wow. What was that like?
Yeah.
Oh, in a while
And
then,
that,
huh?
yeah, that wasn't even a good relationship. It was a short relationship. It wasn't a good one, and
So, how
I had
long before that was your girlfriend? Like, how long before Nashville?
she was probably oh probably 6 months before Nashville, and well there was about 3 years there where I have one night stands with my friends, with my female friends that were in my hang around group, which included the parties that we'd go to Tony's house and then we'd have at my house, and there was some karaoke bars that I'd go to, and I'd have some one night stands then, and then
Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't like one night stands.
yeah, I don't either anymore. Back then I had I had a different mindset. I was bought a party because I was hanging around the wrong people. But before, oh, let me see, I came back to Maine from Washington State in 2002. I think it was 2002, or maybe it was the end of 2001. I came back to Maine. Before that, when I was at Washington State, it was when I came back to Maine when I started drinking more again. Because when I was in Washington State, I was there for 3.5 years. Those 3.5 years, I probably had a six-pack the whole time. And I didn't go out because I had my nieces and nephews like 80% of the time. My sister-in-law had depression really bad, and so they spent a lot of time with me. And my brother, my brother, was actually back here because him and his wife had gotten a divorce. So he came back here to Maine. So it was like I was out there when I was with them. For 2 years, I had them about 80% of the time, so my concentration was all on those three kids and nothing else. So I didn't go out for that whole time. And the only six-pack of beer that I drank was one I bought at the store and brought back to the house, and it took me like a month to drink it.
So, how did your last relationship end? Your real ones?
It ended with, her name was Brandy, and it ended with her and her two sisters.
Are you like, wait? I can't hear you. You're very quiet.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I had to move my headset. Her name was Brandy, and the way that ended was her and her two sisters came over to my house, and they packed up her clothes, and I asked her what was going on, and she said, "We're done. I'm leaving." And I was like, "Huh." I was like,
Why?
"All right," because they were on drugs. I just let her do it. I didn't fight her about it. I just let her pack her stuff up and go. Because all three, I could tell even right then that when they were doing it, they were all doing drugs. Just by the way they acted.
What kind of drugs?
Oh God, they did heroin, cocaine, and anything they could get their hands on to.
Wow.
And with
How
this
long did you
bag up
date
front,
her for?
her, I think it was about a month that I dated her, which I'm surprised
Oh,
it lasted
so
that long.
yeah, that's not like really a relationship then. I mean, like, when was
No,
your
it wasn't
last like real girlfriend?
my last real girlfriend.
Like actual relationship?
Um, I've actually never really had one that I would consider an actual real relationship, a real long-term relationship,
Wow.
because of the fact that there was one that I thought I was in that I actually fell in love with her, and it took me a long, long time to get over her. And she's actually the real reason why I never had a long-term relationship.
So you dated her, and what happened?
I didn't even date her. Well, I did in a way, but we didn't in a way. She had just gotten out of she had just her engagement to another guy had just ended, and she was when I met her, she was still living with him because that was the first time I was out in Washington State, and which that was for 3.5 years. First time I was out there too. But she was in Alaska. She lived in Alaska, and she met her fiance up there, and he was in the army, and he got transferred down to Washington State, and she moved down here with him, and then they wound up breaking up,
Mhm.
and she got a job at the karaoke bar that I used to go to as a waitress, and that's where I met her.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, so she explained everything to me about her being engaged to him and them just breaking up. And so I took things really slow with her, and so that way it would give her time to get over him. And
Hmm.
even though she would make moves on me, and I wouldn't respond like she wanted me to, because
Why?
I knew that she still had to be in love with him, and I didn't want to be her rebound thing. I wanted it to be something real and good with her. Well,
Okay.
I waited too long because
How long
apparently
did you wait?
I waited 6 months. But her and I would do everything together. We'd go out and do everything together. And we'd go hiking. We'd go to the karaoke bar together. We'd go to my brother's house and have cookouts there, and we did everything together.
She
And
was just your friend.
yeah, she was just my friend, even though we both knew that we're going to be working towards something more. But apparently, I waited too long
Oh,
because
yeah. What does that mean? That doesn't even make sense.
no, I waited too long before to make a move on her because some other guy from the karaoke bar asked her out, and she went out with him,
Oh,
and that wound up so messed up. It hurt me pretty bad. I was in love with her, and I knew I was in love with her.
but she didn't
But
love you.
well, she loved me, but I didn't make a move on her, and she wanted more than what I was giving her at the time.
Well, then
This
why
guy
didn't
asking her
you?
out
If you loved her, and she loved you.
because I didn't know that she loved me at the time, and I didn't even know that I loved her at the time as much as I did. It wasn't until this guy asked her out, and she went on a date with him. She started spending more time with him, less time with me, and that's when I realized that I was in love with her. But then this guy asked him to, it wasn't, they were only together for like a month before he asked her to marry him. And she said yes. And it floored me. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I said, my God. And well, it wasn't real for her. The
What
whole
was
thing
it?
wasn't him, being engaged to him. She only used it, she only did that so she would have a place to live. Because he had a trailer in Washington State.
Wow,
And
he sounds like an asshole.
yeah.
How do you know that
Yeah.
is why they live together?
Well, because she came over and slept with me one night. She had him drop her off at my apartment. And and I didn't make any moves on her. She went and lay down on my bed. Well, she stayed there and we stayed in the living room and talked for a little bit. And then she went and lay down, on my bed. And I went and laid on my bed next to her. And I didn't make a move on her. She made the move on me.
But she was
And then
engaged.
she was well. Supposedly, she had just broke off the engagement with him.
And he dropped her off at your house.
Yeah.
That makes
And then
no
when we were
sense.
done, then about a half hour to an hour after we were done having sex, she called him up to come get her. And she went back to him. And then the next day they were engaged again. And then it was like a month after that when she broke off the engagement. And she stayed at my house actually it was like 2 months after that. She stayed in my apartment for 2 days because she had a plane ticket. She was going to go back to Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what she did. And it was a year later she came back, and I was still in love with her, and I had told my friend about it, that I was working for him doing carpentry. I had told him about her.
You're fading out again.
Yeah, it's the area. I've got my phone in the best spot it can be in right now.
Okay.
So it's just the area, here. But I told my friend about her, and he asked me if I wanted to ask her to marry me. I said, yeah, I kind of do it, but I just don't know if it's really right now or not. And well, he had told my brother, which him and my brother were friends too. And then my brother told his wife, and my wife and Paula was her name. My brother's wife and Paula were friends. And so my brother's wife told Paula. And Paula came back and told me, she said, don't ask me to marry you because you're actually one that I really would marry. And I'm like, that's when it really hit me that, the whole other time with this other guy, James, was just fake.
Okay, but that makes no sense, like at all.
No, it doesn't.
Why wouldn't you then propose to her if she wanted to marry you and you wanted to marry her?
Because just by her saying, don't ask me to marry you, it stops me. Because it's something, it just tells me that there's something making her tell me that, don't ask me to marry you.
Why would she say that?
I don't know.
So she wanted to marry you, and you wanted to marry her.
Yeah.
But she said, "Don't ask me."
Yeah, that's what stopped me from asking her.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Because
it never did.
If she wanted to marry you, and she wanted to say yes, why would she tell you not to ask?
Yeah. Yes. None of
Was
it. None of
she
that made
like
any sense.
letting you down gently?
Maybe.
Like maybe she didn't like you and she was just like saying that to not hurt your feelings?
Maybe. I don't.
Probably
There's
what it
nothing that I
was.
won't cross
That
off.
doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't make any sense to me either. I stopped trying to make sense out of it a long time ago. It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess she probably didn't like you and didn't want to marry you. Otherwise, she would have, if she knew that you liked her or loved her, you know?
Then that that's
So maybe it was
big.
like just letting you down gently. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it
oh,
might
I
have
don't want to
might have
hurt
been
his
the case.
feelings. So I'm going to
Yeah,
say, I want to marry you, but please don't ask.
yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No,
That could have
it
been her way
doesn't.
of letting me down. You might be right. That could have been her way of letting me down easy.
Mm-hmm. That's the only
I
thing
don't
that
know.
would make sense, kind of.
But I know I'm glad that I didn't. I'm glad I didn't ask her to marry me. I'm glad that I didn't marry her. I'm glad that didn't happen.
Why?
Because
So you're glad that you never dated anyone?
Well, no, I'm not glad that I never dated anyone. I'm not glad that I never had any long-term relationship with actually.
Yeah, gotta be sad.
With actually, living together, type of thing. But
Wow. So you've never been in love?
yeah, I was in love with Paula.
Well, I mean, in love with someone who loved you too. You know what I mean? Like you never
Yeah, well,
like been in a relationship or like took a woman out to dinner or you know stuff like that.
uh,
I'm sorry. That's
no,
very sad.
no, no, I haven't.
Mm,
And it's my fault. I know it's my fault because after Paula, I never really gave anybody the chance.
mm-hmm. Wow.
Because of
It must really suck. It's like you haven't even lived yet. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, I've definitely lived.
yeah,
I can
but not
definitely say
like,
that I've lived. It's just not something that I ever pictured my future would have been.
right?
Like, I mean, when I was in high school, I pictured my future to be so much different.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
Yeah,
That's just kind of a bummer. You never had like a Valentine's Day, no movie dates, dinners with like a woman who loved you, like you loved her,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. I've always wanted that too.
Hmm. Well, yeah, everyone does.
It, it really
Yeah.
sucks because Valentine's Day comes around and I don't have that special someone there that I can
Hmm.
do things for and stuff that I love doing.
Yeah, you've never done any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow,
Want to be my first?
that's kind of shocking to me.
You want to be my first? Oh, life's taking some funny turns.
Hmm. Yeah, I just could never imagine. Just like, I don't know, being in my 50s or whatever and like never experiencing any of that. Kind of a bummer.
It is a bummer.
Yeah. I'm very sad for you.
Yeah. Thank you, I think. I mean, even though I've never experienced those things that I've always really wanted to experience with a relationship, I've never felt alone.
Well, yeah, I guess you had those catfish, right?
No, I mean because of family.
Oh, I know, but you're not like dating your family. Unless you
No, I'm not
are. I
dating
don't
my
know what
family.
people in Maine do.
No, that's too funny. No, I don't date my family. That's the one huge no.
Yeah, but you've never like made love to a woman.
It's true. I can't say that I have.
Wow.
It's well, actually I can't say that because that one time with Paula, I was in love with her.
Right. But like two people in love with each other, like, you've kind of been like
Yeah,
romantically alone your entire life.
yeah, yep. Jeez, you're gonna make me sad.
I know, you're making me sad. I can never
I'm,
imagine going through that.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Sorry, I don't
don't be
want to make
sorry to
you
me. I've been in love.
sad. Yep, I definitely want a different future. I want a future with somebody that gives a shit and that's honest
Hmm.
and that actually wants to enjoy life.
Yeah. Hmm.